DIY Nation, how you doing? This is DIY 1978 guy, back finally, able to do the second part of the series on the 2021 F150 daytime running lamp issue. Now, it's been a minute, and I apologize for it being so long for me to get back and do this, but shortly after I did that first video, the truck went in the shop finally, after being on the waiting list for 28 weeks to have the transmission rebuilt. Yes, this one has a 10R80 2021, 2022 models with the CDF clutch drum issue. I can go into a bunch of that in another video, but essentially it's an issue where the transmission starts acting wonky. Took 28 weeks for my dealer to get me in. I just got it back not too long ago, and so far so good, but only time will tell. Anyway, again, going back to the second part of this series. So as you remember in the first video, we did a ballast swap to see if the issue with the daytime running lamp follows the actual ballast. It did not. And just to give you an example or show you again what the actual issue is, right? It's on these mostly on the quad LED lights. You got these LED light arrays that make up a nice looking daytime running lamp, and then of course when they illuminate, it's supposed to be illuminated all the way down. This one, like many others in the industry, has practically gone out. It's very, very dim. So we're on a troubleshooting expedition to try to figure out if there's a way that we can fix these things without necessarily having to replace the headlight. Like I said, there's a lot of aftermarkets out there. I say some aftermarkets out there people have been using. They put them in. A couple of guys talking about they've had them 1-2 years and they've worked all right. But again, you know, with a truck that's practically this new in reality and this low miles, it just bothers me as a DIYer. It bothers me when stuff doesn't work, and I really want to try to figure out if there's some cheaper way to actually fix this. There may or may not be, we'll see. But here's what we got going on today. So based on the suggestions that I had gotten from some people, we're going to try one thing first before we actually dive into replacing the headlight. But somebody has suggested potentially just adjusting the ForScan brightness, right? ForScan is a software, I'll show you in a minute. ForScan is a software, it's free. You can get free license for 2 months, or you can buy a perpetual license to use it, but allows you to modify different module variables and things like that to turn features on, turn features off. It's very handy. It's a great tool for anybody who owns a Ford. There's a number of different changes I've made on this truck just to make the user experience much better. One of them particularly being when you get out of the vehicle and it's running and you have your keys on you and it makes that loud double honk that's annoying as hell. Well, you combine that with the fact that I added a train horn to this thing, so when you get the double honk, you definitely wake up the dead. But anyway, I turned that off. A few other things, Bambi mode with the headlights. I can go into another video explaining some of the changes that you can do with ForScan. But one of the changes you can make is changing the brightness of these daytime running lamps. So I don't think it's going to make a difference, but just for the sake of trying everything, we're going to go ahead and try it. We'll hook up the ForScan to the computer in there, and we'll change that brightness and see if it actually makes a difference. Now, one thing I do want you to take a look at, this is really more of a precautionary thing than it is a necessity. I do recommend it though, because we're going to be making some module changes and writing programming to the modules in the vehicle. Battery power is the utmost essence, right? You want to make sure that you have a strong battery. You don't want to run the risk of the battery having any kind of faults or losing voltage or low voltage when you're writing to the modules on these things, because any little blip that causes a module not to write properly, you could potentially brick it, and then you're left with a much bigger problem. Although I just had my battery replaced along with the transmission, I had my battery replaced by Ford for the second time. So this is the third battery this thing has had in 46,000 miles. It's a strong battery, but just as, like I said, as a precautionary, I did go ahead and put the battery charger on here, and we're going to kick this thing up to at least 1.5 amps just to keep a good charge going into it while we're doing the module thing. Now, one other thing to note, because these things have a battery monitoring system on them, It monitors obviously the health of the battery for the different things, including the start-stop mechanism, which is another thing I turned off with ForScan. Great. Was it with ForScan or the tune? Might have been with the tune, but either way, one thing you want to do when you're hooking up your battery cables on this thing, positive obviously just goes to the positive. The negative, on the other hand, though, has this is the actual battery sensing module here. This is what senses how much power goes into and out of the battery, how much is drawn from the accessories, how much is pumped in by the alternator. And I'm told, I have not verified this, but I'm told that if you hook up your battery charger to the regular terminal, bypassing the battery monitoring sensor, you can actually cause some issues because it sees more charge in the battery than what it initially knew. So to offset that, it's recommended that you hook your negative cable up to the pole on the battery monitor so that it can sense how much power is going into and out of the battery at any given time. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this set up with ForScan and everything like that, get in the vehicle, and I'll bring you in there with me, and once I get set up, I'll be right back and we'll show you what's going on. All right, welcome back. So we're gonna have to skip ahead to the actual disassembly part of this. As luck would have it, and as I stated in the last video, it's amateur hour. My ForScan license has expired. I submitted a new request for another one. It's pretty easy to do. You go through the website, you just fill in the information, and like I said, you can get a little 2-month trial license, or you can get a 1-year extended license for a payment. The trial license is free. Takes about 20 to 30 minutes normally for it to be reviewed and end up in your email. So I'll keep checking my email periodically, and once that comes in, we'll fast forward over to the actual DRL test with the ForScan software, and we'll film that part. But like I said, amateur hour, but it happens. This is all part of DIY. So, but we're gonna move on to the actual disassembly process of this entire thing, because either way, I'm gonna have to replace the headlight with the new unit I got. So let me show you what I've got here, and arguably, I've never pulled this this grill off. I'm going to show you everything you're supposed to do to pull it off, but you're going to witness me doing this for the first time as well. So it should be an interesting trip down discovery lane, if you will. But anyway, let me show you what I've got over here. So like I said, I did purchase a new headlight. It's not a new one, it's a used headlight from a fella in the automotive community off marketplace. I got to tell you, most marketplace people are just scammers, and I mean, you guys all know what I'm talking about, but the automotive community tends to be really awesome. This guy gave this to me at a very, very good price. Now, he couldn't verify whether or not it worked fully or not. It is whole, which is good, and it has the ballast on the bottom, which was something that I wanted as well, obviously for testing. Just playing around with the wires and everything, I did verify that these two lights do work. However, I have not been able to get this, so I'm hoping that this headlight works and I can swap it into my vehicle and fix the DRL, and then when I actually do the disassembly of the headlight in another segment of this video, and we can see what it does on the inside, figure out all the wiring, we'll be able to either use this one or the one that's in my truck. So I do have another headlight, and I did actually buy the shop manual for this thing, which gives you all kinds of circuit information, wiring diagrams, things like that. And I gotta stop saying that so much, things like that, things of that sort. You'll find there are terms that I use a lot, but wiring diagrams, this one particularly is not very helpful, but these are the pinouts from the from everything. Of course, multimeter, fluids, because it is hotter than Satan's underwear after Cinco de Mayo out here, so we do need to stay hydrated. And then of course gasoline for if this project doesn't go the way I want to and we just want to burn it down to the ground and start over, we've got that as well. I'm kidding, don't do that, insurance doesn't like that. But anyway, in order to take off this grill, right, to get these headlights out, you do have to remove the whole front grill assembly. Turns out it's not as bad as it sounds. If you take your time with it, you'll be able to figure out. My one challenge is going to be lifting up this adhesive LED strip that I put on here without damaging it, but if it happens, it happens. The thing was like 20 bucks. But anyway, in order to do this, you have to remove these two screws right here, which will loosen up this front panel. The rest of this is all snap tight, across the front of the truck here, and I apologize, it's dirty. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to wash it since I got it back yet, but anyway, maybe if the headlight works, it'll deserve being washed. And then of course down here, the other two. So that whole entire panel will pop off. After we do that, there'll be a handful of screws behind this panel at the bottom that we'll have to take off, and I'll walk you through this entire thing. But we have to pull off this top plastic plate, and then below that there's a couple of screws that have to come out and some wiring harnesses. And then once that's all freed, this guy is supposed to unsnap, lift up, and fold out. So let me get everything positioned and ready to go, and I'll show you what that looks like. Be right back. Okay, like I said, so we're going to start here and remove these two 7mm screws. Right, just go ahead and throw those off to the side here. And this thing is supposed to pop out fairly easily. Alright, as we loosen it up, let's come around the front here, take a look at this as we work this thing out, and it sounds like it's tearing itself to shreds. So be careful when you're doing this. You don't want to crack the paint. Let me get these other screws over here. Pop that off. Not quite as easy as it looks, but and with a little bit of finesse, this thing is supposed to just pull right out. Good Lord. There it goes. Alright, there it is. I'll put this guy off to the side here. So like I said, there are some screws down here, right there. I'll bring you in here for a look. So we got to remove this screw down here. This one's going to hold the headlight assembly in. This one back here is going to hold the headlight assembly in, which you can see through here. It's recommended that you loosen this up so you can swing this out, so the headlight will come out. And then again, same thing on this side here. And then like I said, we'll have to get the stuff up top here. So let me go ahead and remove all those, and I'll take you in when we get to the top part. Be right back. Okay, so we've got these screws all removed down at the bottom. Those are 8mm heads for each of those. Why they can't use the same size head for all the screws will forever be a mystery that automotive people will forever seek. But anyway, to pull this thing off, there's several of these little pop rivets, right? These are very easy to take off. You just take your little tool, get it up underneath there, you can pop it up and pop these things out. And again, there's several of them. You got here that hold down what would be the factory intake snorkel. This is an aftermarket, so same thing though. There's one back here. I think there's one underneath there. And then you just go across the entire top of this entire assembly, looking back behind there, pull them all out, and this will come out. So let me get that off. I'll be right back. Okay, it's 3 days and 47 hours later. I finally got them all out. Just kidding, it's really not. That just took forever. But like I said, there's a ton of them up here. Two things I want to point out. Number one, these that are in these sort of recessed areas are actually different ones. They're specific to that particular hole, and they look like this. You don't need to take these out in order to get this top plastic piece off, but I believe you have to take them out to get the grill out. We'll find out in a second. But anyway, just pay mind to those. These are the ones that are going to go back in these recessed areas. Number two thing I wanted to point out is, and I recently learned this, I did not know this, but this is completely independent of the headlight stuff. This snorkel, apparently on the factory ones, on the 5 liters, you got to make sure that these push tabs are good and locked down in here. Apparently there's an issue on some models where if these things pull out, this thing will actually fold up and block the factory snorkel under higher RPM and suffocate the engine. I've not seen this. It did not happen to me when I had it. That's not the reason I changed this. I just like the way this thing looks. But anyway, if you have something that's going on like that, where your engine starves out at higher RPM for some reason, check this. See if these things are pushed down. I would have not known that. That would have been an interesting one for me to look for as well. But like I said, we got this thing completely off here. It's just a matter of lifting up and pulling everything apart here. Did I get them all? I think I got them all. Yeah, here we go. And that guy slides off and goes into the parts pile with everything else over there. Now, as I stated, there are a few screws under here we need to take out. There's these 4 10mm headed screws right here, and then these plugs that have to come out. Now, one of my plugs is already disconnected. This is the one that goes to the active shutters in front of the grill. I unplugged that because I think that's an absolutely stupid feature for where I live. Again, that's just my own opinion. Warranty would probably balk at that if you have a warranty issue that they can prove is caused by that. But anyway, I undid mine just because, like I said, I think it's a dumb feature and it's expensive to replace if it breaks. But anyway, like I said, you're going to unplug these two and then pop these wire harnesses out of the grill, and this whole thing should, like I said, lift up and come off. So let's get to work on that and see what happens. And again, I'm going to have to contend with my light strip as well, and see how this works out. So 10mm head. Let's pop these out real quick. I'm all about power tools. Other people are hand tool people. I think there's a place for both. Right here is not one of those places where I think hand tools are necessary, except when we're popping out these things. Little panel popper, and that pops out. Get up underneath there. These are kind of a pain. There we go. Pop that out. And we've got these 2 plugs. Actually, one of them is, nope, they're both plugs. Cool. This one looks like you just squeeze it and it comes apart. Like I said, just squeeze it and it comes apart. We'll go back to that one. This one has a little tan thing that we're going to press, and it's supposed to come off. But clearly neither of these want to cooperate with me. So, oh wait, there we go. Alright, so we got the tan one out. That's that guy. And then this other one, like I said, it looks like you just squeeze it and it comes apart. Let me get a pliers and try that. See, hand tools. Squeeze this, and there it goes, and it pops right off. So that's the 3 of those guys right there. Lay them off to the side, and it actually looks like, as a follow-up, you don't need to take out these big ones. It actually helps to hold the grill in. So I'm going to have to put those back in just to hold this whole piece together. Again, this is the first time I'm doing this, so if I break something, you guys are going to witness it. Either that or I'll delete it off the camera, off the final video, but probably not. Let's see, where's that last one? Here it is. Okay, so we got everything out. This thing is supposed to, oh wait a minute, got to contend with my little light strip here. Probably will end up breaking this, but hope not. Oh, and it did. I'm gonna get that off and then I'll come back to you. All right, another 14 days, 19 hours, 27 minutes and 32 seconds later, I'm unhappy to report that the LED light strip did not survive the accident. Not a big deal, it happens. It's like a $20 part. I didn't really like where I had it placed anyway, so guess it's kind of a win. But anyway, it's part of DIY, it's what happens. And just for the sake of anybody that ever wonders and says, well, you know, if I do it myself, I might break something. Very true. But if you think about it, professionals are just DIYers who get paid to do stuff on other people's stuff. So as I stated in another video before, you know, these so-called professionals and stuff like that, not to knock all of them, there are a lot of good ones out there for sure, but there are some that claim to be professionals who will charge you a professional premium, break your stuff or mess it up, and then you get it back and then you get to go into it. For me personally, I can mess it up a couple of times for the same price that they did to do it once, and well, I'll learn something in the process. A lot of times I'll figure out how to fix it. But anyway, back to this. So we got that whole thing out. Now, as I stated, you pull the top of the grill out and it will release from in here. Now, this is supposed to just lift up and out. I promise you I did not do this once already. I did start to pull it out, but there's those dumb louvers on the back that I said, you know, is a worthless, in my opinion, a worthless feature. Supposedly, those louvers, that goes in the parts pile there too, supposedly those louvers are for a few different things. Number one, I'm told they're supposed to close to minimize the amount of air that goes through the engine well, which to me is counterintuitive because for as long as cars have been around, lack of air going through the engine well usually cause more problems. But hey, I'm not a Ford engineer. Number two, this is one I could see a little bit more relevant, and this is again a major tangent, but one of the things that it's supposed to do, like in very, very cold climates, when you start your vehicle up, it's supposed to minimize the cold air coming across so that the engine can warm up faster, and then they open up. That's perfectly legit. I could believe that. However, I live in South Louisiana. It is currently 100 degrees in the shade, about 115 on the old real feel meter. So yeah, we want as much air coming across the radiator, condenser, and everything else as absolutely humanly possible. So I unplugged it. Anyway, so now let me bring you down to this level here so you can see this. Now we've got the headlight thingy going on here. So I'll bring you over here, and as I stated before, right, there's a bolt here, there's one back here, and then there's two 10mm bolts up here, and this whole headlight assembly is supposed to slide out. So now that's the theory. We're going to test that theory, and as I stated before, it's recommended that you loosen up this little side bracket here, kind of get it out of the way, so that when you're sliding the headlight out, it's supposed to make it a little easier to get the headlight out. Now, let's see. I've got to get that up in there, which means I need an extension. There's a comic that said that one time, and it always pops into my head. I got more extensions than AT&T. Who was that? Loop that down in the comments and find out who that was. I got more extensions than AT&T. Which, these days, I'm not a fan of AT&T, y'all, to be honest with you. But these days, I'm not a fan of any telecommunications company, to be honest with you. So, got that. Got these two 10mm bolts up here. And then, abracadabra, you come out. Alright, and how this is supposed to work. Oh, there's another little pop rivet up here. How convenient. Like, really, does that, all the bolts fall out of the light, and this little thing is going to be your savior to keep the light from falling out of the vehicle. Doubtful. Alright, take two. Alright, so now the light is loose. However, behind the light over here, back in the fender well, there is a little snap piece that goes into the fender, so you want to be a little bit careful when you're pulling this out. There you go, to release that. And like clockwork, there you are. So I'll bring you over here to show you what I'm working with here. So now we got the headlight out, and we got a few plugs on the back of it, of course. You got this main plug here, and I haven't identified all of them yet, but I believe this is the one that actually provides the power to the headlights and fog lights and modules and everything. This guy should be, yep, that's signal light. I've replaced that one with an LED, and then you have another plug right up under here. This goes to your marker lamp. So let me go ahead and get this out, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'll reposition you guys so you could get up in here with me while I'm doing this. I just checked my email again. I told you, because I'm videoing today and because I waited to the last minute to do it, ForScan is going to take their sweet time before they send me the license to be able to do this. But we still got work we can do, so we'll go ahead and pull this off one way, shape, or form. There's a tab there for the signal light. There is a small tab under here for this parking light bulb, which is really nice and easy to get to. Not really. Does that go up or down? Looks like it goes down. There we go. And then there's a third tab here, which pops that out. So this is that tab I was talking about that goes up into the fender. You want to be careful when you're pulling that out because you don't want to break that. So we're going to toss this guy off to the parts pile for a second. And the moment of truth is about to come. Well, I have to swap my LED bulbs here real quick, because I did change the LEDs on the both the parking lamp and the marker, excuse me, and the signal light. So let's pop those out just as a little comparison for you. This is the factory bulb. This is the one that I used. It's in amber for the signal light. I'll put all the description to these things down, all the links to these down in the description. So far they've been good. So go ahead and pop that in there right quick. Again, comparison. This is the marker lamp bulb, factory bulb, and then the one that I put in there. It appears that they only fit in there one way, so that's good. Okay, moment of truth. We're going to plug these guys back in, and we're going to see if I have a daytime running lamp operational again. As I stated, the guy that I got this from, when he bought his truck, this thing was in the back of it. So it had already been removed under warranty for some reason, which he was not aware of. So that tells me that quite possibly this thing was removed because maybe it had a daytime running lamp issue. But anyway, let's see. You ready? Lock. Okay. Unlock. Wow. Same thing. Interesting. Lock. I don't know why my parking lights aren't flashing when I do this. Oh, there they go. Unlock. Same darn problem. Same thing. Now, I did leave the ballast that came with this light in here, but I already learned that changing the ballast doesn't actually do anything. So, well, now, that's a bummer. I did pay money for this. Not a lot, but I did pay money for this. And it has the same problem as that headlight. That really sucks. One more time. Nope. Okay, well, I guess we could see if the lights work on it, if all the lights work on it. Let's see. I know the low beams work. Let's see if the high beams work. Okay, this is low beams. Yeah, we got low beams. Okay, and I gotta turn the darn thing on. course, my keys are over here. All right, let's get the keys. Give me the keys. Let's see, we have, yeah, low beams, high beams, fog lights, because I got that Bambi mode thing I told you I turned on with ForScan, which leaves the low beams and the fog lights on when you turn the high beams on. Great, so I basically have the exact same thing that I took out. That's special. All right, I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Now, out of sheer morbid curiosity, and after a not so, what's the word I'm looking for? Not so nice battery change on my GoPro camera. Again, there'll be a video coming on the GoPro. Y'all don't want to miss that one. It's going to be great. Anyway, out of sheer morbid curiosity, because the new light that I bought doesn't work and has the same problem, I pulled the driver's side headlight just to see if it had the same main plug, and it does. So in true troubleshooting fashion, we're going to take a look and see. Now this light, this is my factory light. The one that's over there, that's the one that I bought. This is my factory one with the bad DRL. That's the new one with the bad DRL, the actual driver's side headlights on the ground over there. So we're going to see if the problem follows the whole headlight from the wiring perspective. Based on the ballast swap, I expected that this will still have a problem, but I've been unpleasantly surprised so far through this whole thing. So let's see. Yes, that is what I was expecting to see. The headlight, so the issue is in fact inside this headlight, on both of them, unfortunately. But that at least proves that the BCM, the wiring, everything up to the headlight is actually working properly. But anyway, okay, so now because of that, we're gonna go ahead, I'll put my my driver's side headlight back in, and we'll get to work on the next steps. I'm gonna do some wiring pinouts to see if I can determine which wires do what, so that I can actually test them inside the headlight once I disassemble the headlight. So be right back. Okay, so we're back. I got the driver's side headlight back in. What I want to do here is actually do a couple of pinout tests to verify the pins on this plug that control that module, or that control the headlight, both the daytime running lamp, low beam, high beam, and that way when I go in and take the other one apart, I can apply power properly and see if we can verify this. So I got my voltmeter hooked up. This black wire, it's according to the wiring diagram, it's a black with a gray in the back of the plug here. I have my ground wire going to that one, and I'm gonna have to get something to use for a positive test lead here. Here we go. And what we're basically going to do is verify voltage on each of the different legs of this thing. So we're going to set the voltmeter here. This is just a simple voltmeter. We're going to set this one to the 2.0 on the DC volts, because obviously automotive uses DC. And so the first one is supposed to be, let's see, the low beam is supposed to be a blue and green wire, which looks like it's this thick wire way down here. Apparently this is not going to work, so we're going to try something different. Get us a little piece of wire here that we can squeeze up in those terminals. Maybe. There we go. And this should give us what we're looking for here. Okay, so now with the low beam on, all right, there's no voltage there right now. This should, let's see if we when we unlock this, do we have any voltage? It shouldn't have low beam yet. Let's see if you guys can see that. Shouldn't have low beam yet. Let me turn on low beam and see. All right, low beam's on, and we still don't have any voltage. So either this is not making ground or making continuity, or that's not the right wire. Let's see if we have voltage on any of these. Got to be careful here. I don't want to accidentally touch this and ground it out. So let's try this. Let's try putting this to the battery again. All DIY type stuff. This is what happens. So let's see. There we go. All right, so apparently that black wire inside that plug was not the ground, or it wasn't making a good connection. So there we go. We got 12.39 volts on that wire. I'll turn the headlights off. Let's see, does the voltage go away? Yes, it does. Okay, so we have figured out that this blue wire here, which would be pin number, let's see here. It's going to be pin number 1 as we drop this darn thing down in here. Stay. Pin number 1 in this plug is in fact correct. Let's see, I should have a pin somewhere around here. Well, here's not being prepared. Be right back. I want to get a pen. Okay, got my pen. Remember, always be prepared. Unless you're a DIYer, you're never prepared for everything. So, according to here, so this is pin number 1. It says here blue with a green, control mod, low beam right. That's this pin right here. That one we can check off as being correct. So the next one would be the, let's see, pin number 2 should be the turn lamp. I don't really care about that one. Pin number 3 should be the daytime running lamp. So let's go down to here, and it's showing 0.35 volts right now. I don't know why, because the daytime running lamp is not on, but when we, yep, the daytime running lamp is on. Now we got 1.65 volts. I don't know if that's actually supposed to be correct or not, but that's what we got. I'm gonna have to figure out what the voltages are supposed to be here, but let's mark that down as being daytime running lamp, 1.65 volts. The low beam was 12.38. So, okay. And now that the daytime running lamp is shut off, that one has gone back to 0.35 volts. So let's see. Let's mark that down. 0.35 volts off. 1.65 on. Okay. Let's try that again. All I'm doing is hitting the unlock button. Yeah, 1.65. Turn off, daytime running lamp goes back to 1. So there's a 1.3 volt basically differential on this for whatever reason. We'll have to verify that and see. But anyway, right now we're just doing tests and observing what we actually have here. So the next pin, control mod, dynamic bending light. I don't have that one. Pin number 6, which is this violet, yellow and violet, is supposed to be a the LIN bus, which is the local internal network, I think is what it stands for. It's basically a network connection, if you will, back to the other modules. That's how it talks to the mod. That's how the module inside the light talks to the BCM inside there. So that one I'm not real worried about. Let's see what these other pins are for. We got number 7, which is a blue and gray. That's this big thick wire here, supposed to be fuse 101 or circuit breaker. So that one, if I'm not mistaken, ought to be a 12 volt all the time. And there we are. Yeah, 12.43 volts. So that's a direct feed from the from the fuse box. 12 volt constant, we'll call that one. All right, number 8 should also be, let's see, a blue and gray. Oh, that's the one I'm in. I'm sorry. Let's see. Number 7 is also. So both of these are constant. I don't know why one's much thicker than the other, but both of these are 12 volt constants. So let's figure that one out and see. Control mod, parking light, don't care. Which I don't understand either. They have the parking light. Oh, those don't have wires in them. So it's just these couple of wires. I don't know if you can see this. It's just basically 1, 2, 3. Oh, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wires on the top row, and then the 1 wire on the bottom row, which again is supposed to be a ground, I think. Let's see. Bottom part of the plug, that would be bottom right for the plug, which is number 9. Control mod parking light. Oh, okay. That's why. So this, is that correct? Let's get this out the way so we don't short nothing out. All right, here's how you gotta basically line these things up, right? We're looking at, can you see that? Put the plug the right way. So this pin, this black pin, is number 9. Right pin now, wouldn't it? Yeah, see? This is why you gotta count properly. It wasn't pin number 8, it's pin number 7. Sorry, pin number 10. Ground, headlamp panel. So that is supposed to be the ground. That's why it wasn't working earlier. I had it in the wrong pin. But we could actually test that and see if that's in fact correct. If we pop that one in there, not that far. Put this on here. This should be a ground. And it is 12.4. Good. Okay. Verified what all of these pins are in here. So now when I take this thing apart, I'll be able to apply power properly and hopefully figure out the differences in the stuff inside the headlight. So we've got all of our pins figured out. Once again, that ground is pin number 10, not number 9. What do they say? Measure twice, cut once. I looked once and measured twice. Hey, DIY, baby. Anyway, I'll never see that again. But those are the pins. Let me get this button back up and I'll be right back. All right, so I've got the light back in. I don't have the screws back in yet, but I went ahead and put my factory headlight back in there just for the reasons that, you know, with the leveling kit and everything like that, I've got the headlight adjusted to the proper height that I need it to be. So doesn't make a difference obviously, but because the other one's broken too, so I have 2 duds. But anyway, you always want to make sure you go through and check everything before you button it all up, make sure everything works right. The daytime running lamps are on, low beam, high beam. Of course we didn't touch the fog light, and then this side as well. We're going to go ahead and put on the flashers, make sure that that flashes properly. We should see, yes, I don't know if you guys can see that, it is flashing. So there you go. Always check, double check all your connections, make sure everything's working properly before you put it back together. Sucks putting everything back together and then turning it on and finding out you have to take it back apart again. So this is that measure twice, cut once moment. Instead, in this case, it's test twice and then put back together once. So be right back. All right, before I button up the front end of this thing, I wanted to take an opportunity just to show you what all is behind the grill on this thing. Again, for the purposes of, if you watch this video and you're trying to tie that last variable together, you know, without having to take your own apart and figure out what it is. Now again, this is an XLT model, I think 302A package or something like that or whatever. It's got all the bells and whistles you can have in a XLT model for a 21 year, but there's some things obviously it doesn't have. But anyway, I just wanted to show you this so that you can get a reference of it and understand what it is. So obviously, you know, we pointed out the headlight and everything like this. This obviously goes down to your wiper fill jug, your two horns, right? You have a low tone and a high tone horn that make up the normal tone for the horn and everything. If you have to replace them, this is where they sit. Turns out it's much easier to get to them without the grill on. Of course, you got hood latch with the plugs that we took off. Now I'm not sure which ones go to what. Well, actually I am. So this guy is the one that plugs into the louvers that I had unplugged. This one, let's see, yeah, this one is the actual fiber optic or optical for the camera. Maybe it's not fiber optic, I don't know, but anyway, this is the optical for the camera. Could just be a copper line, more than likely it is, because I think the camera's got a power, but there's a camera in the front for the 360 camera view. It sits in the Ford emblem. And then this is actually the washer nozzle, the washer fluid nozzle hose for that camera. That was something else I didn't know that this thing had until not too long ago, is that whenever you hit the windshield washer to wash the windows, a little washer comes out and sprays the front camera to clean it as well. Again, kind of a first world thing, but could totally do without it and probably would have saved Ford $1 billion in R&D. But anyway, and then here's obviously the plug for your hood latch, and all of that cable for the hood latch comes in. Condenser, and again, I'm taking this as if you guys don't know anything about how vehicles work. Condenser, this is the actual cooling radiator, if you will, of your air conditioning system. So your refrigerant comes into this really hot, the air blows across it, it cools it off, and then it exits out going to its next destination, which would be if there's a dryer in here, a receiver dryer. I don't remember if that one's going to be in front or behind it, but anyway, there'll be some kind of drying element in there, and then obviously it's going to go into the evaporator in the dash. Back here, this is a main bus plug for everything that would operate in the front bumper. Now the only thing I have in my front bumper besides the light bar, which I added, which is not part of that bus, is fog lights with the daytime running lamps. But if you have any kind of adaptive cruise sensors or parking sensors or anything like that in the front bumper here, more than likely it's going to come through this main bus connection. And so if you're going to take your bumper off, it's just a matter of unplugging this main connection, and all that comes out with the bumper. Radiator obviously sits behind the condenser. As a matter of fact, another good thing to note is while you got this thing apart, it's a good idea to go ahead and clean all the bugs and debris and everything out of here. The more stuff that gets caked up against the condenser, the less efficient it becomes. So take a moment. You can take a very nice fine like fine haired brush or something like that. You don't want to use metal bristles. You can take plastic bristle brush and just easily go through there. Make sure you don't bend or fold these cooling vents here, because if those things fold, then air can't go through them. Again, it reduces the efficiency of the condenser and get all the bugs out of it. I took compressed air and just you know, went along and blew it out. Again, even compressed air can bend these cooling fins, so be careful with that. You can see there's a few of them that where things have hit it, but yeah, you want to go ahead and clean that out while you got it apart. And that's about it. Obviously we got the driver's side headlight and everything else, but that's about it. And there's a lot of space under here. Turns out it would have been real easy to mount my train horn, which is down here now, which is also a lot of space, but it would be much easier to mount that thing behind the grill up here, provided I was able to take it off the last time. But anyway, you can fast forward through that part if you'd like. I know I probably should have told you that at the beginning of the segment, but anyway, just an idea of what all's behind the grill and what it does. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back together. I'll be back. All right, once again, before I put this back together, I know I said that about 4 times. I'll go ahead and show you what the back side of the grill looks like. Again, for the purposes of understanding. So what actually mounts the grill on there, besides the bolts that we screwed in, took out, there's these 4 tabs here. You got to line up these pins with some set holes up there, and then these 2 will snap in. Same thing on this side, 2 pins and these little set tabs. These are going to line up with set holes as well. This bottom part is just going to slide up and in. This is that active louver I was telling you about back here. This is the actuator for it. These louvers open and close based on programming from the computer. Again, to me, kind of a worthless thing, but I already explained why. But this is very basically what the back of the grill looks like. If you were going to take the active louvers off, it looks like there's just these 4 bolts and maybe those top pieces, and that whole active louver setup probably comes out. I'm not going to take it out, but anyway, if you were going to take it apart, that's probably how it would come apart. But anyway, that's what the back of the grill looks like. All right, finally got the truck all back together. Front end went back together pretty easily. I'm sure that, you know, being that half of it is snapped together, that there'll probably be like 5 or 6 new rattles and pieces falling off and stuff like that, which generally happens with plastic components, right? Especially cheap ones. I'm just kidding. If you put it back together properly, you shouldn't have any issues. There's enough snap tabs and everything to hold everything. But it's actually not a bad job, considering, you know, if there's one thing I do give engineers, automotive engineers, credit for these days, is that they are generally better in making things more modular. And what I mean by modular is you don't have to disassemble as much to get major components off. Now, that's not completely true across the whole vehicle, but in a way, it's almost like they expect that they're going to have to take it apart. One might say that, you know, if you put a little more engineering dollars into it to make it more reliable, you won't have to take it apart. I don't know, sounds like something we need to weigh on the scales. But anyway, last test here just to make sure everything's working properly. Well, everything that was working properly before I started this. We got high beams, low beams. We've got low beam, high beam, signal light, fog light, daytime running lamps, all except that annoying one. And then, of course, this one on this side, everything's working. Well, might help if I actually turn the fog lights on. Let me do that real quick just to double check, because that would not be fun. 1 second. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, we got that fog light and we got that fog light. So this is the end of this particular segment. Thank you for following me along this ride. I know this video is probably kind of long. We jumped around a little bit. After I'm done buttoning all this up, I'm gonna go check my email, see if we get that ForScan piece, that license, and maybe we'll do the test and see if I don't honestly think it's gonna change anything with that daytime running lamp, but to be thorough, I wanna test everything. So thank you for watching. Again, I love you guys. Thank you for helping me get this channel started, making a success. One way or the other, we're gonna find a fix for this darn thing. In the next segment of this video, not the ForScan one, but in the next segment of this video, we're going to start tearing into that headlight and figure out how it works. Just even if we don't find a fix for it, at least we'll know how the inside works. This is something that I have not seen so far, so I'm going to take some time to figure out how to take that headlight apart, and then I'll do another segment on that. But again, thank you very much. I love you guys. God bless you all. I'll see you on the next video. DIY 1978 guy. Peace.